turned up.
That was good. Thank you, imaginary audience. What's up, everybody? It's RobLive, and we're back in the studio today. Special guest, fellow podcaster, Demetrius Cerna. Welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thank you. Welcome. I appreciate it. This is
Okay, so this is what I always thought was weird. You know, like, and I want to do this, Jim, whenever we get bigger, because the big dream is to have a live audience, right? Talk show. Like, you know, Oprah, Arsenio Hall,
Okay,
all those guys, right? That's the big dream.
okay.
So it's going to be beyond this. But the one thing that I never liked in any of those is that the host would already have met the person they're interviewing. And so that greeting is kind of like it's the second greeting. Like, it's not real.
Right. It's not that
Like
organic.
yeah, because we've been talking. And so I never want to see the audience or the guests, right, before. So it's a real hello, right?
And you can't have the signs that say applause either, because those aren't really real applauses.
Exactly. I don't like the stage, you know,
Right,
and that's why when people say, like, when I'm taking pictures, people get mad at me. It's like, bro, you didn't even let me pose. I wanted to see you in action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's not real.
I like
Now, obviously, if it's a bad angle, right? Like,
I'm
dude,
picking my nose, bro.
At our age, it's always a bad angle. So yeah.
my friend got mad at me. He's like, bro, everything you got is me eating. And I'm like, well, I don't know what that says.
Yeah, I got one for you. I got you.
What laugh is that?
These are memes, man. I got memes.
Show him the DJ.
Oh,
the DJ horn.
Yeah.
Hey, Ruslan uses that one right there.
So, okay, so we're going to start from the top.
Okay.
You're from Hanford.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Lil John. What I remember about first meeting you was, I think it was when you were on stage and you were singing.
Okay.
It was a men's breakfast. So, little background audience. Shout out to Georgia. Thank you guys for our numbers last month. We had a...
I don't know why I looked that way when you said shout out to Georgia.
Yeah, I know, like they're there.
Is it that direction?
I was pointing at the camera. But thank you, all the viewers in Georgia. Thank you guys for subscribing. Jim's very grateful. I'm grateful to the show.
Yeah, we got 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000 views from the country of Georgia.
Wow.
And I apologize. 2 years earlier, I didn't know that was a country. Right, I had to get educated.
Right.
But anyway, thank you guys for that.
You're a teacher, huh? So this is
I know this is the state of public school right
geography. Got it.
So and what's cool is, like, our church, Koinonia, like, you guys go to these places, and that's crazy. So the background, you guys, Demetrius and I, we go to the same church, Koinonia. Shout out to Koinonia in Hanford, California.
That's right.
Yeah. And thank you guys for all you do. We appreciate you. And so I'm at the men's breakfast.
Okay.
Right, which is once a month.
First Saturday every month.
Saturday.
Come and check us out.
Now, here's the thing, Jim. Like, I don't know. We've never really done early morning stuff, but I'm not quite awake, right? And I go in there, and they start with worship. Now, we need to talk about the worship thing. I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
Right, and it's more of like a comfort thing, because I grew up with the radio. I grew up with what do they call music outside of the church?
Secular music.
Secular. Okay. I grew up with secular music, right?
I think all of us pretty much did, yeah.
So it's kind of a thing to feel that same energy with and I think part of it is a mental thing. I've put it in a category. Oh, that's my worship. That's my church music. That's my secular music. And now I'm trying to bring it together. And here's who's my inspiration. There's two people at church, and I've mentioned this before on this podcast. It's Pastor Candace and Tyler.
Okay.
They were in the front one time, and the worship was going on. And I just watched them because the energy was high, and they're jumping, and you would have thought they were at a concert, right?
Right.
And I was like, why can't I have concert energy here, but I can have it, with secular music?
Right.
And none of those artists have ever, like, saved my life or answered my prayers.
It was that one song that I heard on the radio, and it changed my life.
And but this music, it does. And so I'm still trying to, I'll do a little head bob once in a while.
Right.
But I get there, and there's a guy on stage, right? And you guys can see he's got the cool dreads, and he's singing, and the energy's high, and the drummer's going, and I was like, wow. These guys are going hard at 8 a.m. That was my first thought. And so I was like, who are, and then you did a couple of songs. You had a really good voice.
Thank you.
Because I'm an aspiring vocalist myself.
Yeah.
It's coming, guys.
All right.
But I was inspired, and I remembered. I said, "All right, let me take note." For some reason, you stood out to me. Fast forward to a couple weeks later, Jim. I'm at church, and I run into some other friends, and it's a couple of people that I don't know if you. Well, they clearly know you,
Albert, you're talking about
Albert. I think it was
Okay.
Albert, and
Yeah.
Albert said, "Hey, man, you got to meet Demetrius." And I said, "Okay, well, there's 1,000 people at that church."
right.
And I'm like, "Where is he? Or, do we have something in common?" He goes, "He has a podcast too." I go, "Really? There's a fellow podcaster." And I might have mentioned it to you. And I said, "Well, let's find him."
Okay.
And then so he kind of gave me your Facebook, I think, and we started there. And then I'd see you on Facebook, but the church times,
Mm-hmm.
I used to do the 11 a.m. Which one did you go to?
We usually, yeah, that was it. That was
11.
the 11, yeah. But a lot of times me and my wife serve.
So you're working a
yeah,
lot of
so
the
a lot
time.
of times I'm working, especially now that we're at three
Three services.
So we're working every other week.
What time are the services again?
8:30, 10:30, and 12:30.
That's right. If you're in the Central Valley, you want to check out Hanford, Koinonia, 8:30 a.m., 10 a.m., and 12:30
Mm-hmm.
p.m.
And you know what? Easter's coming up, so that's the CEOs. All the CEOs that go to church, and you know what CEO stands for, right?
No.
Church Easter only.
Oh,
Right, so all the CEOs.
I was
come-
thinking like owners of a company, right? Are you Easter only, Jim? Are you?
I've become that. Yeah.
His mom. Okay, his mom. Now his mom passed recently, right? And so we went to the funeral, and I found out his mom used to go hard in the church. Like she bought the organ, and she would play, and like she was deep into it. I didn't know that about your mom. I was really impressed with everyone who spoke highly of
For
her.
years, yeah. We were always playing in the pews, messing around. She'd be all playing with one hand, swinging at us with the other hand to stop messing around. Yeah.
So she was those
She-
prayer, she's
yeah.
a prayer warrior. So
Yeah.
those seeds are planted in there,
Yeah.
huh? They're there.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
then he used to say that his dad would always get
Oh.
upset because mom would make moves for the church,
Mm-hmm.
because I moved and I want to put my money where my heart's at. And so she would buy the organ from Costco and be like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Paid
look
for
what
an
we brought."
organ, tambourine. Anybody that could play any instrument, they would say, "Welcome, come on in."
Let's go.
You might suck, but in God's eyes, you don't.
Did you
suck.
ever do worship?
Make
Like,
a
were you ever
joyful
singing?
noise.
No, I played sax, and she pushed me to try to do that. And there's no way,
No? When the saints.
no, come marching in. Nope, I was in the back.
So Demetrius was doing worship, and then I found out podcast, and then after that it was like tag, huh? Oh,
Yeah.
this week. Oh
Yeah.
no, that week, and then
Yeah.
that week. God's timing. So
That's it.
finally it all lined up. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here. I wanted to start from the
My
beginning.
privilege, man. My privilege.
So were you always part of a church growing up?
Well, we started out Catholic. Our family started out Catholic. It's crazy. Our family was like partiers, man. Like they'd roll in kegs and back in the day and just have barbecues, play horseshoe, and our family would come from LA, and we had a big family. And then I just remember it seemed like almost overnight, everybody in our family got saved. Like it was just like a revival. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like my tia Teresa, her and her husband, my Theo John, shout out to them. They just started opening up the Bible, and they were, weed. I remember weed smoking, and they were, you know what I mean? Like it was like a party at like every birthday, every holiday, and then all that just stopped.
And how old were
then-
you for this transition?
Man, I would say 12, 13 maybe.
Okay.
But then and we didn't go to like, we were like CEOs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'd go to Christmas and Easter, get dressed up, and go to the Catholic church, and that was pretty much it. And then my great grandma, she lived on the south side, which I lived with her for a part of my life too. Like a lot
And this
of-
is Hanford.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and she would go to a Latin Assembly of God that was around the corner. Like we literally walk to church, and that was a little more, fire and brimstone kind of church, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like most of the service was in Spanish, but like there were seeds that were planted during that time too. Like you know what I mean. Like shout out to the Lopez family. They owned what is that gym? Just Lift.
Oh, it's still there, huh? Just
yeah.
live.
They were heavily influenced by that church. They were like big people in that church, and they would take us like on trips. We'd go to like conferences as teenagers, and we would go to like Magic Mountain with the
Oh,
other
wow.
churches, and we'd have winter camp and things like that. So
I love the
um,
camps.
so
Did you do the camps? Where'd you go?
Yeah, big time. Sugar Pine. We did
Hume Lake?
Human Lake.
Did you
Yeah,
do
we
Hume
did
Lake?
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I missed the camps.
Yeah.
All I did was
it was so fun.
the bus would pick us up and then take us to the local Bible school on
Right.
Sundays. We all went for the Oreos. We wanted Oreos, and then that's as far as I got with the trip.
As far as church went back then, it was basically just go there to meet girls.
Oh,
pretty
there
much.
was- okay.
That was it. You know what I
And
mean?
this is
Like,
12, 13.
yeah, 12, 13, 14.
How about high school? Were you?
Then high school, like my mom got saved. Like,
Oh, that must have been impactful for you.
yeah. Well, it was kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of a rocky relationship. Like my mom has been like, even the guy that I call dad to this day, he's not my real father. He's not my biological father.
Okay.
So she married him early on in life. They were like, you know, kind of like childhood sweethearts after my real dad was in the picture. He's actually never really been in the picture. Crazy story as of recently. But my mom would, you know, she's been married 4 times to 4 different. Like my sisters have a different dad.
Oh, I see.
And then the guy that that raised me, that I call my dad, you know what I mean? He was in and out of the picture, like you know, kind of they had that, you know, in between, you know,
Yeah, that's hard.
yeah. So when she got married, she married another guy, and when she married the guy, he was a heroin addict at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was a freshman in high school, and he
And
was
is he living in your home at this time?
yes, but
When-
they're getting ready to move to La Puente, which is in LA area.
Yeah.
Like, and they wanted me to go, and I ended up going for like a short bit, and like this guy would just literally nod out in front of me, like you know what I mean, and I would go through his pockets, take his money, give his money, the money to my mom so he wouldn't spend it on drugs. But crazy how God works though is she's seen something in him, and he was a great guy. I mean, he was a really good guy, but she's seen something in him, and then when he got saved, he got like radically saved. Like he didn't have no withdrawals from heroin. He didn't have like it was like literally like
Overnight.
boom, and
Wow.
and this guy was on fire. Like, and he's the kind of guy that could walk into a room and talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And to this day, he is probably one of the most powerful men of God I've ever met.
Wow.
Like I would wake up in the morning, you know, to get a drink of water or something, 5 in the morning, and you'd see him at the table reading his Bible and praying and walking that walk. You know what I mean? But for some reason or another, him and my mom didn't work out.
Yeah.
So they went their separate ways, and I still stayed in contact with him. And he ended up actually passing away during COVID because of
Oh.
all of his drug use and things like that.
Yeah.
His health issues, he had health issues
So
and
it
things like that.
compromised him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Sorry
he
to
was
hear
he
that.
was an awesome dude, and he showed me how to walk the walk. Like he showed me that you're not your past. Like you know what I mean. Like he showed grace for legit. You know what I mean?
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. Even like right now, as you say that, you're not your past.
Mm.
Like I know that, and you know I say that, but there are times when I'm still like living in that, feeling that guilt, or you know,
The devil is a liar.
because I went through this phase. Jim, do you remember when I was out in LA and we were selling loans, mortgage loans?
Yeah, I listened to you on someone else's podcast.
Oh,
and-
that's
yeah,
the only
yeah.
reason you know that?
Yeah, I do.
We
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
talk about
No,
it?
we never talked. No.
He-
He doesn't tell me.
He learns.
He
things
doesn't
from,
tell me anything.
from other interviews.
Yeah, I know
other
from other
podcasts.
Yeah, I
But
hear.
yeah.
I read his book.
So yeah,
No.
you ready? But at that time, right, there was a lot of things going on that were not. They were worldly, and I remember being very a selfish mindset. And now, even to this day, sometimes I'm like trying to make up for that. You know,
Right.
like, why are you doing this? I should be saying, because you know this is the way. Right? Is that Mandalorian? Did I just do Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Did I? No,
I don't.
you know,
I don't have that effect on here, Robert, and so I can't play that.
but
I
you-
don't watch Disney, so no, I'm just.
but that was the, you know, so I totally can get that where like you don't feel sometimes worthy,
Right.
and then you like snap out of it like, oh, no, 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 I already know.
Right. So basically, so as far as God being in my life, I was very harsh on my mom. Like I judged her tremendously. Like, oh, now you're a Christian. Now you're this. After all the stuff you put
Oh
us
yeah,
through,
yeah.
blah blah blah. Like, and looking back at it now, it was more like a manipulation play that I did as a teenager, because now I had an out. Now I was like, I don't have to be over here in LA. I can stay in Hanford with my great grandma, and my great grandma was 80 years old, so I could run all over her. She's not gonna be able to control me, so I could do what I want. It was a selfish move.
Yeah.
So I played that card for a long time with my mom. You know what I mean? And I'm sure she had her guilt that she put her kids through, and the different relationships, and one of my actually my sister's dad, he uh he was very abusive. Like he would beat me, he would beat my mom.
Oh
And the
man.
only reason he would beat me is because I would intervene when he was beating my mom.
Yeah.
So then I'd get a beating. And but
How old
yeah,
are you at that time going through all that?
probably like 7 to
Oh man.
13, probably somewhere around there. But he got into a really bad car accident and he got paralyzed. And even when he was in his wheelchair, my mom like stuck by his side and kind of like was still with him during that time.
Yeah.
But then he would still try to grab her like aggressively and grab me. So one time he tried to do that with me, and I just got his wheelchair, rolled him outside into the front porch. We had like one of those old wraparound porches,
Yeah.
and I called my mom, said, "Mom, this dude, like he's just." I didn't know the word humbled. You know what I mean? He was not humble. After everything that God did to him, like what I mean, he's still that guy trying to be that guy.
Still
So
angry.
she's like, you know what? You're right. And from that day on, she shipped him off to, then they got a divorce, and she shipped him off to his sister and stuff like that. And like he just didn't like was still that angry, mean person
Yeah.
inside. I mean, it would probably. I mean, if that were to happen to me, I would probably get more angry or bitter or whatever. You know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
don't have God in your life, you know what I mean. You're not going to be able to even process that. I can imagine it, but at some point, you have to be accountable for your actions. And these people are like, my mom's still sticking by his side. We're still taking care of you, and you're still gonna try to be like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was another part of that. And then right after that, my mom had like a really bad mental breakdown, and that was hard to see too. Like she lost her memory, like, and she seen me instead of a 13 or 14-year-old kid, she seen me as like an 8-year-old boy, and it was weird. Like, and that was a weird thing. And then she got it back like maybe a month or two later, but it was like she had like a mental breakdown, probably because the guilt that she felt because now she's not taking care of him. You know what I mean, or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I'm just speculating her emotions, but
Yeah.
something was going on internally that caused her to really stress out. You know what I mean, about the choice that she made about maybe deserting him or the guilt. You know what I mean, like, but it was the right move. And then her and my dad, that I call dad, got together and stuff like that. And he's the one that we're going through right now. That he has brain cancer and things like that. So he's kind of like, it just resembles kind of dementia. Like his memory comes in and out and things
Yeah.
like that. So we have
But
some challenges with our family
yeah,
going on right now.
no.
Yeah, definitely. And
I
we're not
you
even
know what
talk
though?
about we're not even going to talk about like all the other the crazy stuff like the
That
sexual abuse and things that happened to me and my sisters
oh my
and things
God.
like that growing up. You know what I mean? But we've been through some stuff. We got some definitely some challenges in our family. But God is good, man. God is good through it all.
Well, here's where you're blowing my mind right now because I see this a lot in our church and in other churches as well. You have people who walk through that church with a good energy and a love for people despite
Mm.
everything. Because I know, out when I'm out in the world, I can feel somebody's energy and I'm like, yeah, they probably went through a lot of things and they carry it. And there's this mistrust and they don't want to be near you, that, don't get near me. I don't trust you, arm's length. And then I go to church and there's all these people who, loving on you, like, hey man, hey brother, how you doing? I feel warmth from them.
Yeah.
And then I hear their story and I'm like, you have every reason not even to like people.
Right.
You're one of them.
Yeah.
Because when I first met you, it was all, hey, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And I was like, we need to get him on the show.
Hmm.
And I felt immediately accepted.
Mm.
and you've had all these people push you away or mistreat you. This is not the work of man, the
Right.
way you are.
Yeah.
And so it's a testament to faith and God's work. And that's why I think a lot of people would benefit from coming to church, because
Mm-hmm.
you meet all these warm individuals, and there's no agenda.
Right.
You know, like, okay, Demetrius isn't just being nice because he needs something from me or wants something. He just loves on people.
Yeah.
And that's where I get like choked up.
Well, I mean, and not to blow my own horn either, because man, I've done some horrendous things in my life too. You know, two people.
Yeah.
You know, I was never. I think the only person I've ever been faithful to is my wife. As far as every other relationship, I've been just a douchebag. You know what I mean? I moved out of Hanford to go to Las Vegas and live that life, and left my daughter behind at 2 years old, 3 years old.
How
You
old
know.
were you when you went out to Vegas?
21 years old. Just turned. Well, actually, just about to turn 22. So I'm like, literally, we moved in July. In November, I turned 22.
And how long were you in Vegas?
10 years.
10 years in Vegas.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I became a dealer, craps dealer. My girlfriend at the time, my son's mom.
Yeah.
So I have two kids from two different women, and neither of them are my wife right now. Me and my wife have only been married 5 years, so
Okay.
she's literally got the best version of me, and
So the casino
and
version.
sometimes it's still not enough. I'm still a work in progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so I became a craps dealer, and the girl that I was with, she became a cocktail waitress at the Rio, and I.
Oh, at the biggest buffet.
Yeah.
They still
Well,
have
back
that.
then that was like that was the spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That-
No,
the-
I remember.
yeah.
Jim, did
And
you
that
ever go
was-
out there? Yeah, when it came to buffet, right, that was always the spot people would
Yeah.
go to.
I think we moved out there in 94, 95.
I was there for the summer of '96
Okay.
with a friend. I was working at the Applebee's on Nellis.
Okay. We
You know-
opened up the Hard Rock there. That was, I think,
You know
96 is
that-
when we opened up the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the Rio. They used to have like a disco Inferno night.
Yeah.
That was a spot.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were there 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And then what made you decide to come back from Vegas?
Well, when I first moved, I had, because originally my girlfriend at the time, she was trying to become a court reporter, and I was going to be a nurse. So
Yeah.
I did all my prerequisites and had all that stuff taken care of. But the waiting program for the nursing program at COS was like 6 months.
Okay.
So I had 6 months to kill, and we had just gone. Actually, we had just gone to Vegas, and we had heard, like, what the bartend, because I was bartending at the Bastille, and my girlfriend was a waitress at,
Wait.
that was in Hanford.
The Civic Center Bastille, the
Yeah,
haunted one?
Yeah,
Did you?
that was during that time, like early '90s. That Bastille was popping. Like
Was that when Victor Rosa owned it? Or
no,
after?
Josh Katzman was the owner.
You
at
know
that
Victor Rosa?
time. I don't.
He's a superintendent of schools now for Hanford School District.
Okay.
We interviewed him down there when we had the Halloween setup, and he had said that at one point he purchased with a partner and they were running it, but I
Yeah.
think it was much later.
Yeah, it's probably later.
So that was a spot. Wow.
It has a spot, but it was like Josh was all about live music. It wasn't DJs or
That's
anything.
cool.
Actually, I DJ'd on Wednesdays. It's called Wicked Wednesdays. How crazy that
Nice.
was! Yeah, so I had a DJ business back then too, and when I just got out of, because that's another story. But yeah, so
Man, you've lived many lives.
I
Athlete, DJ, casino. Wait, craps? Was it craps?
craft dealer. Yep. Yeah.
Wow. So that you're the one with the long stick and
Uh-huh.
the dice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you did that for 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, 10 years, yeah. And then I moved. When I moved back, I actually
Yeah.
started working at the Palace, and I did that for another 8 years.
Oh, okay.
So it was 18 years of my life. I was
In a casino.
I was a casino. Yeah.
What's the most bizarre thing you witnessed in terms of someone winning money or something?
Oh, we've had a hour and 40-minute roll where everybody on the table was at least winning 50,000 or more. Yeah, and the guys that knew how to play craps were winning close to $400,000.
Oh,
And the guys were trying to switch.
was that Vegas or was that?
No, it was in Vegas. Yeah. They had craps at the Palace for a short time.
I remember that. I
no.
think.
It's funny because I was I was living in Venice Beach at the time, pursuing acting.
Oh, good.
Another thing that I was
Yeah,
trying
there
to do.
you go. Did you get any movies or?
I played on one of what do you call it? What is it? Man, I played a hot dog guy. That was one of my only roles that I
Was
got.
that TV or
It
film?
was on TV. It was on It was, man. I haven't even talked about it for so long. I can't.
We're gonna
remember.
look it up.
But it was the what is it, the like CSI, but it's like CSI New York. I played a
Yes.
hot dog guy on CSI New York.
That was cool.
And,
Right?
yeah,
Did you get a trailer or? Did you
The
have
credit, I should have credits. Yeah.
No, but I mean, did you have your own trailer when you were
Oh,
there?
come on, no. Heck,
Chair? Did you have
no,
a chair?
actually, I got pulled because I had long hair. I had
Yeah.
but I had a fro because I hadn't grown it out long.
Yeah.
But they just put like a kind of hat like this on me, and they used my fro, and they pulled. I was doing extra work, and they pulled me out of the extras to do this, and then they ended up giving me a
A
line.
bump.
a-
Oh, so you got a SAG card?
no, heck
No?
no. You need more than one line to get
No,
a second.
I thought anytime you talk, that's it.
No. That's not how it works. But
So I have one movie credit,
yeah.
but it's a B film that went straight to Russia. Have you seen it, Jim?
Mhm.
Blood Justice. And on that one, it was a very low budget
Mhm.
deal, right? So I thought I hit the big time, but there was no speaking part, and I was killed in the first 5 minutes. So you get
right.
better with the talk.
Yeah,
You got to speak.
I've got some extra parts where, what I mean, where I actually got, you could see me visually, like, oh, there you are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so, I mean, that was
I
cool.
got $40.
Yeah. But the hardest thing was I got multiple callbacks. They were supposed to do a Sublime movie, right?
Yeah.
On
Why hasn't that happened yet?
Well, this was back in the days, but I think his family is Brad Noel's family is fighting, like, the rights of doing that, or
I see.
they're overseeing everything, making sure it's done rightly. But the darkness behind of how he died, the drug overdose and things like that.
Yeah.
There, so maybe they just don't want to do that for the kids and waiting for the kids to get older, or I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? So that was back in early 2000s when that was happening. But I had got like 3 callbacks for this position. I was going to be the drummer for Sublime.
Oh, wow.
And I had gotten three callbacks. I thought I was going to get it. You know what I mean? And it was called Bad Fish. The movie was going to be called Bad Fish. And
So did you get it and then they canceled the film, or how did it work?
I don't know exactly what happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got to the point where we got the 3 callbacks. They said, okay, I'll be giving you a call. Looks like, you know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah.
That would have been
And then
exciting.
we just never heard anything. You know what I mean? And then, so it was just kind of like a thing. And then, but
Was this
Well, the
before or
re-
after Vegas?
this was after Vegas. So we had
okay.
sold our house in Vegas, made some money, and we said, oh, you know what, let's just go live on the beach for a little bit. So we got a studio apartment, literally a little studio apartment on the beach.
In Venice.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds so cool.
Oh, it was so cool.
And
dude.
how long were you there?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. So I stretched our little. I think we made 40,000 off our house, but I stretched that 40,000 into 2 years. Yeah.
And acting gigs along the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't get paid much, but I was doing extra work, and extra work actually pays pretty well too. Like, I mean, you can get some feature extra stuff and
Yeah.
things like that. And I think one of my big checks I made like 2,300.
That's good.
Yeah.
For one day?
No,
Or
it was
you were-
it was
you were there?
multiple days, and in the long hours too. Like, I mean, they're like sometimes you're on set for like 14 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I never liked the way, because like sometimes, Jim, have you ever done this where you're an audience member and you're watching the show?
Yeah.
I never liked the way, and you probably know more about why this happens. They would have the audience there for like in 12, 14 hours,
mhm.
and they're still asking for energy and applause.
right.
Like, what do I have left?
Yeah.
Like,
Uh,
it's, and
go
it
to
was-
craft services and get some caffeine.
And I was just like, man, I never want to put somebody through that, but is that just the way it works?
That's just it, man.
So even like the Oprah and the Arsenio Hall, and they're there 18 hours, those kids?
I'm not sure because I've never really done that live.
Me either. Have you?
I've
Well,
never
they
done it.
film multiple episodes, so they want. I mean, the audience could probably see 3 shows by the time
That's
they film
true.
them.
Yeah.
I did the
So-
Tonight Show once, and I remember it was once, and it was like 2 hours. It was in Burbank, but I don't remember dragging it out in energy, and
right.
there's no energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you when did you finally decide to come back home to Hanford?
Well, I was trying to get to that story, but I just keep going down these rabbit
Well,
holes.
no, these are amazing. Like, we didn't know we were gonna get this.
All these rabbit holes that I go down.
Okay,
But
so let's go to acting, Vegas, casino. You also said which other one?
I was in a band in Vegas too.
You didn't say that.
I didn't say that either. But
Was it like a cover band, or was it your own original music?
we had original music, and we did throw some covers in there too.
And what was your genre?
It was alternative rock. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
And this is 90s.
Yes.
So I'm thinking Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Nirvana.
Yep.
Who was your group
Alice in
back then?
Chains.
Alice in Chains.
Man, yeah.
Who'd you like back then, Jim?
I mean, you named a lot of them, but like Def Leppard, you know. I mean,
Oh, you're going 80s.
I went 80s.
You went way back.
Okay, yeah.
But
90s
you know,
was kind of the
but
grunge sound, right?
Depeche Mode. I like Depeche Mode, Duran
Yeah,
Duran.
yeah.
You know, I
Depeche
did all
Mode.
that. So,
New Order.
New Order.
Yeah.
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 That's right.
It's because I didn't really like 80s music, 80s rock, you know, so I wasn't really a rock guy, and I was more like rap and hip hop and things like that.
Yeah.
And then as alternative came out, then I was like, I felt
Yeah, me
that,
too.
you know, like the Linkin Soundgarden, like Chris is definitely my top vocalist right there.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And then obviously Chester from Linkin Park, he's
That's
another
right.
guy that's I really enjoyed.
I
their
never
voice.
thought we'd be talking about them now, and
Yeah.
if I'm
Yeah.
correct, they both took their own lives.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, they
Chris
were
Cor-
awesome.
Yeah,
band.
Chris Cornell was like his range
right.
is just amazing.
So then you were in the band, and how long did that last?
We had struggles with drummers, man. Drummers are flaky people, bro. Like that's what, you know what I mean? Like we went through so many drummers, like, and it was just there's no way I could have handled that. Like God would have, you know what I mean? Like God was just protecting me. I really think that, you know what I mean? Like because we would get some good gigs and stuff like that, and you know we played in the Joint at the Hard Rock and
Oh,
and
yeah,
things
that's
like
a good
that too.
spot.
So like we were getting.
What was the name of the band?
We started out as Sofa Kingdom, which
Okay,
not
Sofa
very,
Kingdom.
yeah, so not very proper if you say it very slowly.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it went to Try to Hide, which the guitar player he tried to kind of micromanage, and so I couldn't really think of I wanted to go really deep with our name, and I couldn't ever really come up with anything, you know what I mean? So I was just like, whatever. You
Were
know what I
these
mean?
friends from back in the day, or people you
No,
met
people we
in
worked
Vegas?
with at the Hard Rock. There was a lot of musicians and stuff like that I met as we were we
Okay.
worked together as dealers and things like that. And then
So you were lead guitar and vocals?
no, I don't play an instrument. I just sing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
So you were the lead singer, and then you had the guitarist, bass,
yeah.
drums.
And drums. We went through.
So it was 4?
Yeah, and for sure we went through at least 4 or 5 drummers.
All
I
for
think the longest stint we had as a drummer, I think he stayed with us for 2 months.
And what was the biggest reason they would leave?
They were just partying too much.
Oh.
Move. They couldn't. They would get caught up in gambling, and then they didn't have no money. So then they started asking for money, and then they had to move back home, and just various.
They
things.
wanted in advance.
Yeah.
And 2 months, you couldn't keep a guy there for 2 months, but you stayed there for 10 years.
Yes,
Eesh.
yes, and we just kept going through drummers,
Oh,
and we would try to get gigs in between there. You know what I mean? And we get it, drummer, and then we'd play. It was crazy because all the musicians were on graveyard, so we'd play swing shift hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the bars would close, and then we'd come in at 3:00
That's pretty fun.
to work.
And during all this time, what was your relationship with Christ
No relationship.
at that
None.
time?
It was, like Easter, Christmas, come back and visit my mom and maybe go to church with her because that would make her the most happiest. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And, but the reason I moved back is because I had made a promise to my daughter. Because, like I was saying, we had 6 months to kill because of the nursing program. So I was just supposed to go to Vegas for 6 months and make money and then come back and do the nursing. And then
Yeah.
And then my girlfriend at the time was supposed to go back to the court reporting. She couldn't get past her 120s for some reason. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's certain
Word per
levels.
minute, or
Yeah, and she couldn't get past her 120s for some reason, and so she got very frustrated, and she just wanted to stay up there, and I was like, and then at the time, I was making like $90,000 a year dealing craps, like literally just partying at work. You know what I mean? And it was
Good
just a
money.
party atmosphere at work, and it was
Yeah.
just fun. And I'm like, why do I want to go to school and be a nurse? Like, you know what I mean? I'm making what nurses are making
And you're having a lot of
with no
fun doing it.
education, with no, you know what I mean? And looking back, I didn't learn any kind of skills and this and that. So then when I lost my job as a dealer, I had nothing. Like I had no skills.
Wait, so you didn't leave it? You lost it?
No. I was still there,
Yeah.
but like I was saying, so at 3 years old, I told my daughter, no, just give me 6 months, me, I'll be back. You know what I mean? Like we're just trying to make some money. You know what I mean? Blah 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 blah. So at 3 years old, so
Who is she staying with at this time?
her mom.
Okay.
So as she gets older, now she's 8 9 years old, and she's like, Dad, you told me you were coming back. You're not. You never came back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though I was working 4 10s, and I'd have 3 days off, so every 2 weeks I would drive back and spend time with her. You know what I mean? And and things like that. And it's crazy. Like as she's older now, she's 33, and then she would drive to Vegas, and she was like, "Dang, Dad, you drove that every 2 weeks." So she appreciated that, but at the same time, I kind of deserted her. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
was just very blessed and fortunate that her mom married a really awesome dude. Like, and he was a great stepdad to the
Wow.
point where she wanted to carry his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was hyphened on her name too. You know what I mean? And that was hard. That was hard to swallow too as a dad. You know what I mean? I was like, even though he's a great guy, and even though he deserves that honor,
Yeah.
because my daughter was a really good basketball player. She was a great athlete, and so to see her name in the paper.
Was she at Hanford High?
Oh, Hanford West.
Hanford West.
Yeah,
The
to see her.
Huskies.
Yeah, to see her name as Taylor Cerna Guzman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Did I deserve it? Probably. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was one of. So then when I moved, so finally, it was a kind of a combination of things. My sister got sick with cancer. My daughter had told me that, and we got into a really rocky situation. It was to the point where now she's 10 years old, and she doesn't even, when I come down to visit her, she doesn't even want to
See,
see me anymore.
that's hard.
She's built up those kind of walls. You know what I mean? And so I had to deal with that. Go. I'd still come down, knock on the door, and her mom would be like, she doesn't want to come. I said, no. You know what I mean? Like, I pay child support, this and that. Like, she doesn't have that right to know. She can come be mad at my house. You know what I mean? Like, and so then her mom was like, well, we don't need your money. So then she didn't even take my money anymore. You know what I mean? And just so she can have that power to just be like, no, I'm not going to force my daughter to go spend time with someone she doesn't want to spend time with. So we
Hard.
did that for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then finally we were able to patch things up, and that was a process. And I would just, it was hard, bro. Like I would literally drive down, watch her games. I couldn't talk to her or anything. Just come in, video her games, and then leave. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
man.
And so when it came to that point where I was like, we got to move back home. My sister's sick. My dad had just lost his job at Pirelli. Like they closed it down, so it had been a couple years.
Is that
he
the
was,
tire?
yeah,
Tire
he was
shop?
kind of like in between jobs and things like that. And then him and my mom separated, and they ended up getting back later. But they were going through all that too. So I'm like, man, we gotta get back home. I was kind of like the glue that kind of kept everything together. Like I made all the money, so any kind of problems had, you know what I mean? Like I've always just like threw money at it, threw this, do that. You need this, and we'll take care of it. But you know what I mean? Like it was just kind of like I was kind of like a fix it guy. And so then when we moved back, and working things out and this and that, and then all the stuff that I did to, cheating on my girlfriend, this and that, and all the stuff that I did in Vegas, things that happen in Vegas don't
They
stay
don't
in
stay
Vegas.
there.
Yeah,
That's not true.
that is not true. And so all that stuff hit the fan. And so then my son's mom, she left me again. Well, it was kind of like our thing, you know what I mean? Like we'd go back and forth a lot.
Yeah.
And so all that stuff was happening, and then I was working at the Palace, and then I started doing crazy things over there too. Like so now my sister's sick, and now I start stealing finding ways to steal, because we'd go for our own tips, so we'd be able to keep our tips. So then I started figuring out ways how to clip chips and put them in my box, and then I end up figuring out all these different things, and then I was like, well, why am I taking these small denominations? Why don't I go for the big chips? So then I started getting caught up in that. Then I have a crew. I have a crew of people because now you need floor people to cash out the chips or to account
Oh,
for them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because they're monitoring and they audit, where all these chips go. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So now I have a floor person that would be like, oh, this guy won this amount of money. He took these chips. So anything that I would take, it was accounted for. Got to the point where,
You had a whole
I
operation.
had a whole operation going, and so we were doing that. So now you know, my sister's dying. It's visible that she's dying, and I'm sending her on trips. We're going to Laker games. We're doing all these different things. Her and her friends, they go to the Bahamas. I'm taking her to San Diego to get these juicing treatments. All these different things that I'm just throwing money. I'm trying to be God. You know what I mean? I'm trying to like, no, I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna figure it out. No, I'm gonna get my sister healed, and in the process, she's gonna have a, you know what I mean, and so all that stuff's going on, and fast forward, I get caught up, lose my job. 2 months later, my sister dies. Um, and now I'm just,
Is this rock bottom?
yeah, this is rock bottom. I'm drinking heavily, probably drinking a big bottle of vodka like every 2 days.
Oh,
Um, like I said, I didn't have any skills. Like I could work hard. Like that was never an issue. Like I was taught how to work. So like I didn't have anything. Like what am I gonna do now? You know what I mean? And at the time, the palace was trying to. They were coming at me with like a federal offense because that's a Indian reservation. They were coming at me hard. They were trying to. You know what I mean? They were bringing me in like, you got to tell me who's involved, how many people are here, how are you doing it? Because on camera they couldn't see what I was doing. They had to audit the table and figure out like, okay, these chips are missing, but how did he do it? Like we can't see where he did it. Like there's something going on here in this, and so they wanted to see how I was doing it, and they wanted to know who was involved. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell you. You know what I mean? Like unless you can guarantee that none of us are going to get in trouble, and I'll just let you know for future. You know what I mean? Like you put it in writing, then I'll talk to whoever's involved and say. But up until then, so they were like, no, you're. So I'm like, all right, then I'm not saying anything. You know what I mean? And so now I start getting hit with So now 2 months later, like they still haven't charged me yet. So now I'm like stressing out. I'm drinking heavily. My son gets saved. My son graduates high school. My mom take him to Hawaii on his graduation trip. He gets saved in Hawaii.
wow.
And
Now, for the audience who may not be familiar with the term saved, specifically, what would that mean?
Jesus became part of his life. He had a spiritual encounter. And he was a weed smoker and kind of, he wasn't he was kind of messing around in high school. Didn't really have any kind of purpose or focus. And he came back from that trip completely different, completely
So he
changed.
was saved before you were,
Yes,
and how did his experience affect you?
it was. I mean, I was happy for him. You know what I mean, but it hadn't affected me yet. Like
Okay.
you know what I mean. Like I was just kind of like, skeptical and whatever, and just kind of like. But then when I seen the work that he was putting in, you know what I mean. Like he was, you would walk into the living room, he's reading his Bible, he's
Oh,
learning
wow.
scripture, he's doing this and this and that. So there was a time where I was like, just like crying, drunk probably, and he's like, Dad, I got a scripture for you. He's like, just read the scripture, just read it. He's like, and it was Matthew 11:28. He's like, come to me, all you weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I get teared up just thinking about it now because it takes me to that point. You know what I mean? And I had lost my sister. I had lost my job. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just surrendered. I said, okay, Lord. I said, I've tried to do it my way for so long.
At
I'm
this
tired.
time, how old are you?
Um, 40?
So 40 years.
Yeah, 40. And I was like, I tried to do it my way for so long. And I'm tired. Tired, God. Every single decision I've ever made has never worked out. Broken relationships, just jumping from relationship to relationship, multiple baby mamas. I have a son and a daughter, both from different moms. And so I said, okay, Lord. So right after I did that, literally the next day, I get served papers.
Oh.
So I'm like, but you know what I mean? And in that point of position, I could be like, man, screw this God thing. Like, see, look, I pray, I give it, and look at what happens.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I was mature enough to know, like, hey, this is decisions that I have made, that there's, whether I serve the Lord or not, this is residual of the sin, that I have done in my life. You know what I mean? Like, and I said, no, I go, I'm sticking to this. I'm still, you know what I mean? I see what you've done in my son. I've seen the change in my son. I want that. I want that. You know what I mean? And that's why I tell guys all the time, like, I have a strong desire for men, you know what I mean? Because I've seen all the things that I've done, and I've seen the relationships that I've broken, and that's what the name of my YouTube channel is, Broken Brothers. And I've seen the brokenness, and I've seen God restore it, you know what I mean? And I've seen the things that he has done. So as I'm continuing to press in, I was like, all right, Lord. Just because at that time, I don't know if you're familiar with Hanford, like anything that's big crime or whatever is just blasted on the on the front page of the newspaper, right? The Hanford Sentinel, and it's blasted, right?
So you were all over the Sentinel.
No, that's the thing. So I was like, all right, Lord, I know that that once this stuff gets out, I'm gonna be on the paper. I'm like, can you just like spare my mom, because she was like big in the church, you know what I mean, things like that. I go, is there's any way? Not for me. I don't care. I don't care about the embarrassment. Like, everybody knows already. Like, anybody that knows me, they already know what happened. So I'm not, but just spare my mom, like, me being blasted on the paper. So when the sheriff comes to pick me up, to take me to go get booked, it is Mike Cortez, which is Candace's.
Oh,
Candace's.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I know Mike because we coached football together.
Yeah.
Pop Warner football. His nephew was on my son's team, and his cousin, my cousin, was the head coach that's intermarried with Mike's sister. So there was there was three of us there. So so I knew Mike, and he's like, D.
So let me bring the audience in.
Right.
Okay, guys, you got to picture this. We go to Koinonia, we go to this church, and there are multiple pastors. Andrew Cromwell is the lead pastor, and then the next pastor is Candace Cortez, and she is the wife of Mike, who picked you up.
Right. So
they're in church every Sunday.
Right. So, I'm not even going to Koinonia or anything yet. You know what I mean? Like, this is just the prelim of what God's gonna do. And so then I tell him what's going on with my sister, what happened, blah, blah, blah. He's like, listen, I'm supposed to take you in to get booked and fingerprinted and whatever. He's like, just show up to court. So that's where they take the pictures of you when you get booked and this, that, you know what I mean? That's when they take the pictures, and then it's a public record, and then the Sentinel will take it. Hey, this guy got charged with that, felony grand larceny from the palace. No, you know what I mean? And so that none of that happened. So I don't get in the paper. So God answered that prayer, boom, right out the gate. So I'm like, I'm yours, God.
With a guy that you see every Sunday now.
the guy that I see, and he cracks up too. Like, he'll be like, man, remember that time? I'm like, I remember. He's like, it's crazy what God's done in your life, bro. Like, and it's so interesting. Like, you know what I mean? It's just a multitude of saying yeses, a multitude of yeses. You know what I mean? Because we could drift back and forth. But if we don't have that anchor of Jesus that keeps us grounded in those drifting times, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to drift far left back into the world, you know what I mean? Or we're going to,
How do you get back on track for you personally when you feel that drift or that pull?
Man, you have to just take it to the Father. Prayer, man. And you hear it all the time, Christian lingo, get to your quiet place, but that is so important, man. Jesus even had to go to his quiet place. Like, there's many a times he would go off and spend time with his Father, go for a walk and just be isolated, Yeah, the enemy wants you isolated also, but if you're isolating to kind of get alone in your thoughts and go drink or go band-aid repair or go, you know, that's a different. But if you're isolating to with your intention to go spend time with your father, that's where the power happens. You know what I mean? And that's where, to be in proximity with our Father and give Him the things that you're troubled with. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times when you mess up, you feel that shame, and you're just like, the last thing you want to do is get back into the presence of the
Yeah.
Lord. But man, you have to.
That's
You
it.
have to press in. You know what I mean? You have to press back in.
Was
And
Koinonia your first church after being saved?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so you've been there for
Yeah,
how
yeah.
long now?
Well,
10
well,
about 10
actually,
years?
I would say that's not true. That's not true. That's not true because I was still dating a girl from the Palace, and I lived in Fresno, and I was going to Celebration. I was going to People's Church, so I was kind of like church hopping. you
Church
know?
hopping.
Yeah,
It was
but
club hopping.
it
Now we're
wasn't.
church hopping.
It wasn't to find a church. I was just hungry. Like me and my son would wake up, we'd go hit the early service at Celebration, and then we'd go hit the later service at People's, and then we started doing classes at People's Church, and it was just like we were just hungry, like you know what I mean. And
Did you get any pushback from your friends or people who knew you prior? They're like,
yeah, 'cause
Demetrius, what are you doing,
oh,
man?
you're just doing that. You're just doing this now because you got caught. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like, but I could see what they were, because a lot of times when I got caught cheating on my girlfriend, we would go to church and I would try to change and have the pastor pray for us and things
Yeah.
like that. And then once she forgave me and we started working things out, then I didn't need God anymore. You know what I mean? And we see that a lot, especially in my men's group as I facilitate a men's group on Thursday. We have a lot of guys that come in and out. You know what I mean? They're coming in at their low points, but then when things get better, they get their job, they get another job, or their wife takes them back, or then they stop coming to the Bible study. Like they feel like, all right, God's got it. He did it already. Okay, I don't
I'm
need to
good.
keep pushing in.
Yeah.
And
I went to the gym once.
yeah, and
Now
that-
I'm in shape.
yeah, and that's exactly how it is with your spiritual walk too. Your spiritual man too. You gotta keep pressing in,
Wow.
and you gotta keep.
That's
you
good
know,
information.
You gotta keep, and that's what I preach to the guys all the time. Or I tell the guys all the time, like, listen, you know what I mean? We are the Bible that many people are not gonna read. You know what I mean? So if you're not reflecting that and you're not
That's a
pushing
good
in,
way to say it.
you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, and especially once you wave that banner that, hey, I'm a Jesus follower,
Yeah.
now eyes are on you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now they're looking, and now they're like, you know what I mean? And it's really important that you're reflecting that. And I fail. The hardest thing is being married. Like I fail with my wife so much. Like, you know what I mean? Like either my emotions get in control, or I'm one of those guys that keep score, you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? Or she'll come to me with the problem and I'll be like defensive right away, like, but you did this, you know what I mean?
You
It's
just described all of us.
right, right. And
Right, Jim?
Yep.
and that's the hardest thing. But
Yeah.
but
Marriage is work.
but the thing is now is that I'm not a runner anymore. Like before, I would just run from my relationships and start over. You know what I mean? I'd be like, deuces. Like, you don't like it? Deuces. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
got 2 baby moms. I'll start over again. I don't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but now it's like, nope.
I'm gonna stay and work.
I gotta stay.
So, Robert, what was his quote? What did he just say right now that made us?
Oh, about always being right or keeping
No, what
score
was your
with
The
thing?
Bible? The
yeah,
Bible?
the Bible. Yeah,
I said, and I can't even take credit for that. I think I heard that from Tim Ross, if I'm not mistaken. But he said, like, you are going to be the Bible that many people will not pick up and read.
So I say that because we need a wall, bro. We need a wall. That's a bumper sticker right there. Every time we have these guests that come on here, they
That's
have
true.
these phenomenal quotes, or they'll say something, and we look at each other like, "Why are we writing this down?"
These are all gems. Yeah, you're right.
Nice. That was nice.
Yeah. So it's just, you know what I mean, and that's what it took. You know what I mean for. So anyway, so I get all that stuff. I make it to, Mike just tells me to make it go to court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do that, and so then I just start pressing in. You know what I mean? And I said, all right, God, you know what I mean? Hey, whatever. If I have to go to jail or prison or whatever, you know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I
How
mean?
long was your wait for court?
my lawyer dragged that out for a long time.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
the worst part, right? Just
Yeah,
waiting. Like, just let
yeah.
me know already.
I just want, you know what I mean? Like, and they dragged it out, but another thing too is like, so once everything hit, they dropped it down to a misdemeanor,
Oh,
and they were,
that's
and
huge.
and my casino director they were pissed. Like they were like, man, how does he get just, you know what I mean? We've estimated he's taken, you know, millions of dollars, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and how does, you know, so it's like, got dropped down to a misdemeanor, larceny. I got 1,000 hours community service, which is a lot. Um, but listen to this, right? So now, during Christmas time, I'm washing fire trucks in Armona at the fire station, and they sell Christmas trees. I just started doing my hours. I probably maybe got like 40, 50 hours done, and I don't know if I should even be saying this, but the guy tells me, "Hey, we need help during Christmas time. Would you mind coming and helping us, you know, sell trees and things like that, and do whatever needs to be done, and blah blah blah." I was like, "Yeah, no problem." So for a couple weeks, 2, 3 weeks, you know what I mean, I'm helping him do blah blah blah.
Yeah.
At the end of that stint, he writes off all my hours.
Wow.
He's like, "But don't go turn them in for like another 6 months, like, you know what I mean, because you obviously can't do 1,000 hours." And he's
Yeah.
like, wait until like I think he said like 7 or 8 months. You know what I mean, like.
Man.
So God is just boom showing up, like showing off,
Yeah.
bro. Like he's just like, I got you, son. I got you. Like, you know what I mean? Keep pressing in, keep doing.
Hold my wine.
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and then he just kept moving. So now, my cousin, he's running a crew. He gets me into the labor union. Now I'm making decent money again.
Is this in carpentry?
Yeah, carpenter, laborer.
Yeah.
I'm actually a laborer, but I'm in the process of becoming a carpenter. Like, God willing, you know what I mean? Like they keep dangling that carrot in front of me, and
Yeah.
and I'm doing a lot of carpenter work and stuff like that. So and they make really really good money, especially on the bridge building with the high speed rail and stuff. So you guys pray for me.
No, we will.
They've been dangling that carrot since November, and then every day they tell me to. I'm like, quit talking, you know, be about it. Walk, tell them to make it happen. Go switch your books.
Well, you told me, right? Whose time?
God's time,
Yes,
right? God's
amen.
time. God's time.
So then, what I like is that you didn't just have your walk. You started a men's group to help other people with their walk. How long has that been going?
Well, I didn't start the men's group. So Corey,
Corey,
I started
the legendary Corey.
Yeah, I started going to Corey's group, and they meet year round all the time. Even during COVID time, we met in person at a home. You know what I mean? So we were like, and we just kept pressing. And so he's seen my growth. You know what I mean? He's seen my growth, and so then there was a time where his son started playing basketball at Emmanuel, and he was gonna start missing Thursdays for basketball
That's
games.
Gavin. Right?
Yeah, and he asked me to take over the group, so I took over that group, and
How long has that been that you've been leading that group?
I led it for probably a year and a half, and then I started working these crazy hours at another project that I was working on at the canal, and we were doing like 90-hour weeks. So then I had to give it up, and one of the guys stepped up and covered it for a good 6 months, and now I've had it back for probably another. So altogether, probably about 2 years. Yeah,
You're doing
yeah.
good work.
yeah. And man, just our church in general, like the men are grown. Like it's just blowing up, bro. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been to like the men's breakfast back in the day when it was like 35, 40 people.
Yes.
And
yes.
then now it's 145 people at this last
Is that
one.
how many?
Yeah. So it's
Wow.
like the growth is there. The men are hungry.
The energy's good.
They want to be legacy changers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? They're intentional about their walk. They want to break the chains that have kept their family down, and they want to change the legacy of their children, their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. Like, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful to see, bro. Like God is moving, and you know, all I do is go up and open up the Bible and read it, and then we just talk about it. And
Wow.
boom. So we have like this last Thursday we had like 22, 23 guys. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like, and
Round of applause
Yeah.
for that.
so
And that's where do you guys meet?
Right there in the learning center and on the other campus on the same place where the men's breakfast is.
Oh, that
in that
okay.
building right there, room 203. We actually have 2 rooms, 203 and
That's good
204.
energy.
Yeah.
I like to go just because I can feel something there,
Mm,
and really, and I haven't said this to you yet, but when I went in there and you were up there as a worship leader, something about your energy on stage and your confidence and the music,
mm.
I was like, I got to be here more often. Like I gotta, and I don't think I've missed since then.
Amen.
And so I appreciate you, and you're touching a lot of lives, even lives that you haven't really seen yet.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit before we close this up about the work you're doing with your podcast. So how can we find that, and if we want to listen in?
So it's Broken Brothers.
Broken Brothers, is it on
and
YouTube or?
Yes, it's Broken Brothers dot pro 1717, and it's Proverbs 17:17 is what it's basically based on, and it's a friend loves at all times, but a brother is born for a time of adversity.
On the wall, another one on the wall.
So that's you know what I mean. That's what I think. Yeah, we hear iron sharpens iron all the time, but brothers are born for adversity. Like you know what I mean. And what
Yeah.
I tell the guys all the time too is like, when we talk here in this room, it's a safe place. You don't have to tell everybody your junk, but please find one brother that will hold you accountable. Most importantly,
Yeah.
but also somebody that you can share. Dude, I'm back on this porn thing again, man. I can't. For some reason, 2 o'clock, I get bored and I start strolling. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
I'm drinking heavily again. Somebody that you can trust with your darkest stuff. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And that's I just try to create a space where brothers can be broken, but know that they can be restored. And God has a purpose and a plan for them that that is far greater than you can even imagine. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, and that's what it comes down to. And when I wanted to tell you too is like me being in a band and worship and all that stuff. When I first got saved, or even early in my walk, like I would intentionally miss worship.
You'd
You know what I
avoid
mean?
it.
I would
think
be
that's-
be
yeah.
late because like you said, I didn't really feel it.
It was kind of weird.
Trying to
and
kind of like, you know what I mean? Like
laughing along. And
Yeah,
do you get are you comfortable with church music or?
Yeah, no, until they started going crazy. Like we went to a church in Arkansas.
Oh, the dancing.
And they were speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
It sounds like our church.
It was
Did the rattlesnakes come out? Or?
well, we were First Southern Baptists, so we
Wow.
grew up and and the people were like hitting each other on the forehead and falling down the ground. That was not at my church, but
Yeah.
that was the church that we went to in
Southern
Arkansas.
Baptist. Oh, okay.
And man, that was a culture
That was
shock.
different.
I was like, I think I was 7, 8 years old, and that scared me. Yeah.
Mm.
You know what, Jim? I just thought of something. I've never invited you to men's breakfast.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
See?
Can you? Jim,
Yeah.
the first Saturday of each month, which is going to be April.
And I'm leading worship this
Oh, you're
next
leading,
weekend.
huh?
Yeah, so
He's gonna be on stage, so
you'll
come-
be like, hey, I know that.
Yeah, I
Hey,
mean, like that.
if anything, it's a free, delicious breakfast.
Yeah.
Like
That-
they
that's
do it
that's
up.
the hook.
There
That's
it
the hook,
is.
It's
right?
a hit.
So I'm going to hit you up next time. We're going to watch him on stage do his thing. And if you guys want to catch more of Demetrius Cerna, which I definitely do, check out Broken Brothers on YouTube.
Mhm.
And you can also find him on Facebook, correct?
Yeah, it's Facebook and Instagram. Instagram too. It's Broken Brothers dot pro.
There it is,
1717.
guys.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put the link to Demetrius' website, all his different social media outlets on this description of this one. We want to thank you so much for being here. Oh, let's do the
man,
long
it was
stretch.
fun. I appreciate it. It was
And we got to work on that, huh? We got everybody's super far.
Stretch.
Yeah, the
Oh.
stretch.
we're like high five over here. Air high five.
Yeah. Until next time, guys, thank you guys. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing here. Also follow Demetrius Cerna on Instagram. Check him out on Facebook. We'll have all the links out for you. Until next time, right? Jesus in the house.
That's right.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.